Hey everybody, it's savagelandsnews coming in this time with a new style of video, my Armory events. This is a new setup. Spent a lot of time, tried to get this thing set up. It's really cool. I'm loving it. Actually, the audio turned out way better than I anticipated. The video turned out way better than I anticipated. This thing is sick. I'm excited. However, there's a small problem. It has like a AI auto-focused attempt to look at the action thing kind of going on where it'll attempt to focus on our hands as we move because it's trying to look at for movement. That setting I forgot to turn off, or I didn't even, honestly, I didn't know it existed. So, for those of you who get motion sickness, this could be bad for you. I'm really susceptible to it. It bothered me like a little bit. It's not that bad. But in the future, I will fix that. I'll turn that setting off. My apologies. It should have just been looking straight at the table. And there's also a little bit of a glare from the lights in the store. Certain cards at certain places are hard to see. So I'll try and figure this all out in the future. But I'm really stoked. So the person I'm playing against here is Davis, one of the premier Dori players in the Pacific Northwest. One of the only ones who routinely beats me, to be honest. Like, you know. We've got like 50-50, 60-40, something like that matchup. But we're starting off the game with standard set of equipment, scab skins, Providence, tunic because we're going long, and we're playing Oasis and Gambler's Gloves, and they're playing like basically default Dori equipment, right? He chose to go first. Good call, right? And is opening up with a Naked Dawnblade, which, you know, I was kind of afraid of getting punished there, but luckily for us, we did not. So, go ahead, tick our tunic up. He's going to put a card in pocket, pitching that Steel Blade Shunt early. We have a 4-card hand. So, most always when I can't dump my hand elegantly, I'm going to go ahead and roll Scab Skins on that first turn, just see if I can get some cheat damage out of the way early. But we didn't hit, so whatever, right? So, against Dori, what is our game plan? We're going to Blood Rush 3 times, hopefully perfectly. If we Blood Rush 3 times perfectly, we automatically win the game, basically. And if we can't, we're going to have to go to a backup plan. So here, we just did a barraging beatdown. You can see a little bit of that glare there. And a 6... Why did we do that? Because we couldn't clear our hand all the way, and we want to force cards out of his hand. A Dori with 5 cards is terrifying. We don't want that. 2 Steel Blade Shunts early, so just 6. Better than a Dawnblade, to be honest. Way more predictable than a Dawnblade. So here we're just going to kind of, analyze our hand. We're not going to take 6 on this. There's no reason to, right? Boom. So this is the first play I made where I was like, this could be a mistake. But I'm going to sink. It's really important in this matchup to dig as fast as you possibly can for Blood Rush Bellows because it's our win condition, right? I mean, it's our win condition most of the time. But in this matchup, the longer the game goes on, the more time we let our Dori partner, friend, enemy find the wombo, you know? Like, you don't want him to have 5 cards. The last thing you want to do is let him have 5 cards. Intimidate in this matchup means a lot because you can hear him say, like, I swear you always hit the card I want to defend with, right? Dori has a lot of bad cards, and they want to defend with them. And if we intimidate the right ones, it really does mess their game plan up over the course of the game. So just coming in for 6.
All right, first blood for the game.
Boom. Takes it. His hand is good. That card that was on the right there, he definitely wanted to block with. We got lucky. Spoils. Power red. One of them. Not like a super powerful red, but a very strong red. So he's attacking right now with Go Again enabled off the non-attack action. 1 card in arsenal, 1 card in hand. What do you think that means?
5, go again, no flow on hit.
It means that one of these 2 cards over here is a pump. Guaranteed. So, really important moment here. Why would I just take 5 damage and give him 2 copper? Well, I mean, I don't really care about the copper. Most people don't. A lot of Doris can't even use copper these days. Spoils is just so good that the copper's irrelevant. But with the cards in my hand, One of them's a Blood Rush, by the way. So with the cards in my hand, I'm trying to understand, like, should I attempt to even bother stuffing this card? No. Why? Because he already gave it go again. 3 cards in hand. Even if I were to throw my entire hand down here, there is a lot of power in this hand. You can tell by the way he played it. And if we want to have any chance at firing Blood Rush, there's no reason to attempt to stop it, right? What makes more sense is if his hand is super weak, it's better to watch him pitch a card and play another Dawnblade, because then we know that he's out of threats, or at least we understand like what might be remaining in his hand. So let's see what happens here, right? So he has go again. He got it. He hit me for 5.
Swing again, pitching.
Boom.
3.
Look at that. That is a red overpower. Even if I'd thrown my hand down there,
Can't find them right now.
he would have overpowered it.
Yeah, there we
He probably would have Iron Song responsed it. It would have gone over, and then I would have just hemorrhaged damage and not fired a Blood Rush here, right? And the fact that there's a naked Dawnblade following this means that for sure one of these is an Iron Song response or a very cheap, very strong reprise-esque attack reaction. So I can stuff this if I threw my hand down, but I have a Blood Rush, right? So the fact that he didn't buff this again, he didn't put another non-attack action down, means that we call this bluff. One of these is an attack reaction.
3 more?
Especially when you're pitching a red overpower, right? Like that means that the other cards in your hand are gas. So here I'm just evaluating, you know, do I even put a card down? Do I even give him reprise? Do I try and stop 3 damage?
3?
Like if I put a card down, I'm just going to enable 3 most likely.
6 damage in your hand.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be 3.
I mean, it's 2 cards, right? Technically, it could be, yeah, it could be 6, right?
Yeah. So I'm just thinking, like, is it even worth it? Like, if I put a card down, I'm still going to take 3.
Yeah, I'll react. I'm just going to toss that.
And boom, right?
So I will gain 2 more coppers and
He had a Twinning Blade, an Overpower Red, and an unknown, most likely reprise card in his hand. If we had blocked that first one, if we attempted to stuff it, we would have just got blown out, right? So we made a very good call.
Could have blocked it. That was a mistake.
Could have blocked it. Could have, would have, should have, yeah. Yeah, how a Blood Rush is a pretty good reason to not block.
Exactly, right? Like, yeah, sure, give him a counter, but our goal here is to give him a counter, Blood Rush, take the counter away. Give him a counter, Blood Rush, take the counter away, right? So boom, Intimidate on the stack. Got our Blood Rush to fire. 1 floating. We have our Tunic, which is super important here.
I just drew my cards and I saw the Blood Rush on the too. Okay.
5.
Pitch, 2 float, claw for 5. So, I mean, looking at our hand, right, with 3 cards left, this is most likely an 18 to 20 damage Blood Rush, right? Pretty much guaranteed. So we took 8, right? We took 8, gave him a counter. But we're already starting 5.
5. Go again. 2 cards and 2 floating. So it's 5 more and something after probably. So this is looking like an 18 damage Blood Rush. Then I'm the
So you can hear him thinking like, okay, well, if I block this one, guaranteed 18 probably based on the 3 cards left in my hand, 2 floating. You know, like, how many cards do I need to give you to still have a turn? But 18 damage is like a lot, right? Like 18 damage is a lot of health. So he's opting here to kind of stuff the Blood Rush, right? Boom, Command and Conquer, not very useful on with a counter, right? He's aiming to get the counter. Taken 5. So we've successfully traded back 5 of the 8 damage we took. And here you can see me thinking, right? I have an Alpha Rampage in Arsenal and a Swing Big in hand. Is it worth it to go for the 11 here? Or is it worth it to just play the Swing Big like getting 2 intimidate swinging for 11 would put him all the way down to 18. That's huge. I mean, he has equipment, but 18 this early, amazing. But what I'm opting to do here
Nice.
is play the swing big instead. Let him block, hopefully block, right? Like, give me some more cards, please. But I have Crown of Providence and an Arsenal, right? And I know that my main objective after Blood Rushing here is to take away that counter. So even if he finds another Twinning Blade, what I can do is stuff it with my equipment on the first one with Crown of Providence, cycle that Alpha Rampage to the bottom, right next to that Reckless Swing for the second half of the game, right? And full block out next turn, no matter what he throws at me.
I'll block 1, take 9. Okay.
And he takes most of it anyway, so, you know, the Alpha Rampage would have done 1 more damage, sure. But it wouldn't protect me like having a card in Arsenal with Crown of Providence would, right?
10 card from that.
So that's why I did that.
Uh, 7 on hit, go again.
So there we go. He's playing, he has 1 float,
Oh, 1
important to understand. He's playing Warrior's Valor, which gives go again on a hit. He already has a counter, so this is coming in for 7.
3, 6, 8.
So here we're gonna go. We're gonna trigger
4,
our,
5, 6, 7.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus 3 and on hit, go again.
and we're pretty sure one of those is an Iron Song response, right? Like we're pretty sure it's a buff card for sure, right? So we're gonna block with 1 more card because 7 plus 3 is 10, and here I'm blocking for 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So he has to come in with at least 2 buffs to go over this, or something crazy like a red overpower, which we just saw him pitch 1. And normally Dories don't run that many overpowers.
You're at what,
So the chance of him going over this is pretty low. Unless he has like a Twinning Blade or like just 2 Iron Song responses in his hand.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. So boom. What did we do? We blood rushed, took away a counter. Exactly what we want to do every single time. 32 to 20, 12 life lead. We're going to try and loop this process as many times as possible, but we are down 1 whole crown. And then boom, swing back for 8.
It's pretty good.
So what did we do? Blood rushed. Took away his counter. Swing date. It's a really good couple of exchanges, right? Really good. Really good. Boom. However, Swing Big has a pretty big negative into Dori, right? Giving Dori a Quicken token opens up her attack patterns like immensely.
Oh, -1.
Luckily, she, you know, he only has 3 cards left. But Dori can do a lot with 3 cards and a Quicken token.
For 3, go again because of the quicken. So 3, go again.
And now, like, he doesn't have to play a non-attack to give it go again. He doesn't even have to threaten a go again card in his hand. It just has it, right? That's kind of annoying. So block 3,
I'll just make it 6.
making it 6. So he did have an overpower last turn.
No on him.
I think that's
No, I have go again, but I'm none float.
just a 3 though.
I'd have to crack courage to attack again, right?
Yeah. What can I do?
The card's been stuck in their arsenal for a minute now, right?
Trying to get a response.
Just a waste. Yeah.
Boom, shut it off. No go again for you. You didn't hit.
Disappointment.
Just claw.
3.
Not the best retaliation.
Measurable.
But we got a card. We're putting something in our arsenal. We're staging for the next attack. Still have a 12 life lead. Not bad. That's one of the biggest cards to fear in Dori, though. You see that? That is a monstrous
5
card.
On hit, draw.
Very scary. Five on hit draw. Block 6.
6.
Make him go over by 3. There's that Iron Song response that we knew he had. Reckless Swing.
Take 2 for me. So you're at empty cards, and you're at 10.
Oof.
Of course.
Singing Steel Blade. Not great. So you know they're gonna get a counter this turn, but
So now I'm at
that's a lot of Iron Song responses out of the deck.
10.
And Iron Song response is honestly one of the best gotcha cards Dori has.
2, and I am going to break the bolters. Well, I'm going to draw them, and maybe we'll see. I'm almost certainly going to break them.
So they're going to draw off hitting. Then they still have their attack reaction window to see if he wants to break his boots.
And then we'll see. Okay, yeah, I'll break them. And then I'll swing 5 again on hit counter and draw again.
Boom. Unfortunately, losing the counter battle here. He gets a counter. Our turn is basically stuffed. We failed to stop it.
Oh, yeah. Your turn.
But that's okay, right? 18 to 25 still. We're feeling decent. But we're going to have to draw and pass. But if I was a better Rhinar player...
Spoils and swing for
If I was a better Rhinar player, I would know that he's out of Iron Song responses, but I play the rest of the game thinking that there is one. I do have a hard time doing this in Armories. A lot of the time I don't like count people's decks in Armories. It's just like a bad habit. I do it later. But right now it's another power red coming out. Spoils of War, giving the sword go again. And I'm looking at my hand. He already has a counter. So this is coming in for a pretty decent chunk of damage. And I take it all. Again, this is the same situation as last time, right? I have a Blood Rush in my hand. I have a 5-card hand. I know that it already has go again. It already has a counter. It's already coming in for a weird break point, right? He has 3 cards left in his hand. Do I honestly have any chance of shutting this down? Probably not, right? Unless I threw my whole hand on the table, including my Blood Rush. But then I run the risk of just getting blown out by twinning. So I would rather threaten my 20 damage and force him to make a weird decision to block, because this, I can kill him with, if he were to block nothing, my Blood Rush kills him. So I'm just saying, hey, like, sure, I can't stop you from keeping this counter, but maybe after you pitch and you play some cards, maybe I can stop you from getting another one.
Racer. And then I'll play a Warrior's Valor. And I'll
boom.
swing here. So this is
I did it again. So, maybe we could have, because this isn't a reprise card and this isn't a reprise card. But if I had stuffed this first attack, he would have just twinninged and then blown me out, right? So we guessed well again. And he still has something left in his arsenal, right?
Eight, yeah, because I played the Valor and the Bracer, so +4, so 8 on hit counter. Almost debated breaking courage so I could swing 3 times, but I think I'll have better uses.
No, that's a mistake. You already have a counter.
I have a counter. Yeah.
So I immediately am like, I can shut off the second counter, but you already got to keep it off the first swing. Why would I don't care, right? Take your second counter. I'm blood rushing.
Blood rush is a lot of damage.
So we did unfortunately have 2 blues in our hand, which makes this a little bit awkward. But so blue barraging, just making it awkward to block, right? Pitch a blue. Our first claw will come in for 7. The more cards he gives us, now that he has 2 counters, the better for us, right? Way better for us. Boom. Just making this really hard for him, right? Like, you don't get to pick what you block with if you're going to block at all. Claw for 5 or 7, depending if you don't block with 2 cards. Oh, the camera wiggling gets pretty crazy when I move my hand down there. So he's going in the tank, right? So the 2 cards we hit are good, right? Rough. So they're probably the 2 weakest cards he has, and he's stuck with his gray cards, right? But it's coming in for 7. Does he shut off our first claw with both cards in his hand, and then or does he try and keep them and maybe have another Intimidate left, right? Like, that's the scary part. Or does he keep his entire hand and try and wombo us with a double counter Dawnblade? It's a lot of decisions that he has to make, right? Especially since we're at 11. Like, we can get blown out by a double counter down blade pretty fast.
I really gotta think about this one. This is tough. Holy smokes. After this, 13 more damage. Probably.
You're calculating it, right? 5 more damage plus 8. Most likely is the floor of this blood rush. I mean, I could have drawn all reds or non-attacks, but, you know, you don't want to assume I drew nothing.
Yeah, this will be all I declare for defense. I am going to crown a card.
So note he kept his arsenal.
And then in reaction,
That card's good.
I'll play this.
Or it's a direct. It's good. So he'll take 1 damage off this trade. Right? And you can see with him thinking about sinking, you know, he probably doesn't want to block with what's in his hand, right? He's stuck.
Draw 1.
Yeah. Don't want to block that. It's either a non-block or it's a card that he really doesn't want to get rid of in case this game goes long. And here's an interesting part. I kind of get stuck because there's a Oasis Respite, a red, Sigil, I believe,
2 cards.
and or no. Okay, that's what it is. There's a blue and a 3-cost attack and a Sigil in my hand. So what I could have done is I could have Tunic pitched the Sigil, clawed, and then come in for 8 and done the maximum damage here. But I'm valuing this Oasis Respite high enough because I want to get rid of these 2 counters, right? And that card he just blocked with is gas. We're so happy he had to block with that. But, so I value this Oasis Respite turning off 2 counters more than the 5 damage I would have gotten off Claw. And to be honest, it probably is worth more than 5 at this point, right? I mean, by itself, it's worth 4, and I gain a life. So it's the Oasis is immediately worth 5, and if I turn off a counter, it's worth like 10, 20, right? Because if he gets the 3 counters, I've lost.
5.
So block for 5.
I'll go to 8.
There's that Iron Song that we knew he had in his arsenal this entire time.
Oasis, he'll even it up. Okay,
Oasis.
Yeah, counters are gone. Arsenal
Gain a
goes.
life. So we just blood rushed again, took away 2 counters. Perfect. And we've called all 3. This is the last Iron Song. I play around this for the rest of the game because I wasn't counting.
Take 2.
And then I blood rush here with a Beast Within. Unfortunately, take 3 damage. Go down to 9.
There's all my DBI.
So we're gonna draw 2 more cards here off of Blood Rush Bellows.
Okay, so you've got 2 flow.
And then we get unlucky. So we have 2 floating, and I believe I draw D-React and Oasis Respite, and I can't remember what the other card is. But it's useless.
No block, I'll react.
Stuffed again.
Yeah, I'm gonna sink that one to draw. Okay. Take 1.
Mop, taking 1. And then, yep, pitching a CNC, a Sigil to Claw here.
Yeah, you got
Unfortunate. But the last card in my hand's a D-React, which is better than either of those 2 cards, right? So now that we've failed our 3rd Blood Rush, right? This was like how we really dominate the game. Now that we've failed our 3rd Blood Rush, it is time to pivot into hard Rhinar. It's like, literally, I think I say this to a guy who's asking about the game. So what does that mean? Our win con has now changed from just playing a Blood Rush Bellows to Alpha Rampage Red Barraging stacking, which we know we pitched earlier in the game. 1 more Reckless Swing, which we know we pitched way earlier in the game. And they're pretty close to each other. So I'm counting my graveyard, and I know that I have 2 Alpha Rampages left, 2 Red Barragings left, and 1 Reckless Swing. So now what we have to do is orchestrate our arsenal while threatening and while blocking to hold either an Alpha Rampage and a Red Barraging, and then find the turn where we can play it, right? So this is what we have to do now, and he has to decide he's going to take 5. He does, right? 6 to 9. No Blood Rushes left, 2 Alpha Rampages, 2 Red Barragings, I think 1 or 2 Blue Barragings, couple Standard Intimidates, and a
Steel Blade Supremacy.
1 Reckless Swing.
5 on hit draw.
And that's his final copy of that power card. No more drawing for you. Why do I block with just my equipment? It's coming in for 5. Because I have a D-React in my arsenal, I can't trigger Reprise if I block with a card from arsenal. So he has to buff this card with no Reprise this turn. So I'm going to stuff this, right? And I also have another D-React in my hand. There's literally nothing he can do to stop me here.
You definitely have a reaction. So how do I want to play around that? 5.
So he's thinking, he has a reaction, right? There's no way he would just let this hit. No way. He knows I don't have any Blood Rushes left. What would I could... There you go. So he double buffs it. He buffs it with Route. You see that glint? If we would have blocked with a card from our hand, we would have triggered Reprise, he would have drawn a card, he would have given it go again, and he would have routed us. We probably would have died. So again, it's like all about understanding what Dori cards do, what's been played, what's in the graveyard, what threats he has left, and really like what kind of attack patterns Dori can do.
Okay, yeah. So he'll cover it up. Alright, I think I played that right then.
So boom, double sync, no cards left, can't trigger Reprise off the sync from our hand. We have 3 cards left. Nothing. No hit on Scabs again. But that's okay. So here I'm stuck with a weird situation because I think I believe it was a Red Barraging, a Savage Feast, and another card. And I did not want to lose that Red Barraging, but I also didn't want to pitch it. Right? I wanted to put that in my arsenal, but I had no attacks left. But because I counted and I know I have 2, I know that there's going to be another one in that tiny little stack there. I'm kind of feeling it to see how many cards are there. So that Barraging will go back to the bottom. Unfortunate. But at least we're going to draw off of Savage Feast, still do 6, and send an Intimidate. Like, the other play would have been to Claw and keep that Barraging in our arsenal. But that's not enough to, like, he's at 6 life. I want to threaten lethal. I want to intimidate his hand. I want to make it weird for him to block. I want to, like, slow him down so I can successfully find Alpha Rampage and Barraging Beatdown, right? So I can find it. Boom, block 6. Those glints are going bye-bye. Put a card in our arsenal. He's coming in for 3. Again, if I was a better Rhinar player, I would have known that he had no Iron Songs left. I was playing around an Iron Song here because, taking 6 damage puts me at 3, and once you're at 3, Dori kind of wins the game because every card threatens 3. So here it's like I was kind of panicking, so I didn't want to trigger Reprise. I didn't want to block with a card from my hand. I figured it out eventually. You'll see me ask the count, but but for a little bit I kind of get stuck. It's like I just don't want to trigger Reprise. I don't want to turn that card on for no reason, right? Like, I should have counted and then realized I could block this no problem, right? But I take 3.
It's not the answer.
Mistake. It is a mistake.
Scabs for the
There's
third,
not a lot I can punish you with.
for the 3rd time. We'll take it. We'll take it.
We'll take our 6. Finally getting a 6. Have a full card hand. That's the only reason I rolled, right? Too much value.
6.
So boom. 6. This is lethal.
3.
1 twinning out of the way. 3. Sigil. 1, 2, 3. Another reason I love sigils, you can just dump it from your arsenal. And then boom. I put a card in my arsenal that will definitely come to show itself soon. Another naked Dawnblade. Again, for some reason, I'm afraid of Iron Song response. I don't know why. But I was.
No defense.
6 to 9. No defense again. Take 3.
Let's see if I can survive.
Tunic. Any response?
Nah, I don't have any instants.
Swing big. Here, I'm bluffing a pummel. Swing big, and a pummel will kill him if he blocks 6, right? Or, I mean, it won't kill him outright, but it'll put him in reckless swing range, and as soon as he's in reckless swing range, he knows he loses. There's like 20 cards left. I pitched the reckless swing forever ago. I'm definitely going to continue to threaten too many cards out of his hand, and then reckless swing him, right? He cannot go to 2. And I like to always throw a random pummel in every once in a while, so, you know, whatever, right? It's just a pummel block, pummel bluff. And the other thing, though, is that even if he knows that, like, okay, he doesn't have a pummel, whatever, 8 is enough to threaten too much damage, right? Like, once he goes to 4, I can just, like, naked Alpha Rampage him and he'll die, right? Like, I could literally just int him with any of my blues and Alpha Rampage him and he'll die. So it's like, once you get too low against Rhinar, it's like bad. He's an ex-Rhinar player too, so he knows this. Like, he knows if he gets too low, I win the game automatically. Especially in this, like int him lock block state. So, you know, he's kind of going in the tank a little bit. Like, how much damage is he willing to take to try and keep tempo? Because he needs it right now, right? Like, he needs tempo. Ugh, the camera movement's so annoying. I'm sorry, everybody. I will fix that for sure.
Block 9.
Block 9, get a quicken token. I sigil back up to 9. It's like those Dawn Blades aren't even happening. Keep a card in my hand. I've had a card in my arsenal for a reason, right? And here I finally think I'm like, that card's been in his arsenal too long. Like,
You can take a look at what
and here I'm like, okay, how many freaking Iron Song responses do you have left? Dude, like, I'm tired of playing around the card that I'm pretty sure doesn't exist.
all 3 of them.
Okay.
So I'm just like, oh, wow. I've been playing around that card this entire time. Why did I even bother? So now I can block. Now you don't get to go again, right? Like, if he hit me there, he could attack me for 6 health, right? Plus whatever's in his arsenal, and I'm not letting that happen. And then here you go. The moment we've been waiting for. Red barraging from Arsenal. Bop.
Oh.
Alpha Rampage, pitch a blue. Discard a 6. You can keep 1 card in your hand.
It's coming in for what?
13.
This is coming in for 13. 13 minus 3 is 10. Minus his 2 remaining block is 8. 8 is more than 6. We win the game, right? Exactly what we were trying to do.
Pivot. As soon as I said I need to switch plans.
Which is pivot to game plan 2 after Blood Rush Bellows failed us. And that is Alpha Rampages. And then Reckless Swing is right there, waiting in case he miraculously could stop this from killing us if that was a D-React in Arsenal or something like that, right? And we had a whole nother one and a whole nother red barraging in the deck, and we would just loop this until he died, right? Really good game. Happy I was able to win this one. You know, every time I play him, I'm not really so sure if I'm going to win. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I promise next time I'll get the wiggling camera resolved. See you later.